to call the regular meeting of the Town of Woodbridge Board of Police Commissioners to order. It's now 6:15 and we're in session. First order of business is approval of the minutes of the prior meeting of October 21st. Do you have any comments, concerns, corrections?
Nope, no comments for me.
Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye. I'll have to abstain.
And abstention from Hank. And public comments and correspondence. Do we have anybody from public comment?
Yeah, I'm not sure which meeting is the public comment, but I might as well just do it now and take off. James Horowitz, 24 Oak Hill Lane in Woodbridge. And as some of you may recall, I was here at your last meeting and continue to be grateful that you guys are looking into traffic calming on Oak Hill Lane. And I saw that it wasn't on the agenda tonight. And so to the extent that it has been moved to the back burner, I just wanted to weigh in and encourage it to continue to be on the front burner. And I know that there are other streets that are being thought of for some traffic calming measures. And I just had two observations that I wanted to make about that. And one is, or three observations. One is that the traffic that we do have on Oak Hill Lane, admittedly, it is not a high volume street. But it is a cut-through street, and when people cut through, often they cut through at a very high rate of speed. The other thing about our street is that it is a street where we have a lot of pedestrians at all hours. We have runners that start to go up and down our street beginning at 7 a.m. at about the same time that the kids are heading off to school. Just this afternoon, my wife and I were outside doing some spring cleanup. I heard you talking, and there was a mom and her child on rollerblades going up and down Oak Hill Lane, and we have a baby at the end of our street where the mom takes the baby out in a stroller going up and down Oak Hill Lane. I know, I don't think it was on Oak Hill Lane, but I know that you guys were out to one of our neighbors just the other day because of somebody speeding past the school bus. It may have been down on Women, but the principle is the same. And so with the number of people that we have actually out on the street, I would just urge, implore that this body or whatever body it is that ultimately makes this decision that they move expeditiously to get something done. And then just the last point that I wanted to make is I spent 40 years as a lawyer, and one of the questions that was often asked of me is, do I need a will, and when should I get my will done? Is there any time urgency to getting my will? And I would say to people, there's no time urgency to getting your will. Just don't wait one day too late. And that's the way I feel about the traffic calming, that we can take as much time as we need to get it done, but let's not wait one day too late. So that's all I have for you, and I do thank you for listening to me. I don't think it's on the agenda, so I'm not going to, unless there's something that you think, Bob, that is going to come up, I'll stay. But if I didn't see anything on the agenda for either meeting, and so.
Technically, it should have been commentary for the traffic authority.
Okay.
But we'll let you
Thank you.
slide on this and go home and have dinner and not have to endure the entire police commission meeting before we go into traffic authority. Rest assured it's something that has caught everybody's attention, and we're working closely and expeditiously to develop a thoughtful game plan and an equitable game plan to figure out how to do this.
Thank you, and thank you for taking me out of turn. I appreciate it. Okay, just to walk down the hall to leave?
Absolutely.
Good. All right, thank you all. Okay, good night now. Thank you.
Take care.
I don't see anybody else for public comment. Is there any correspondence, Dennis?
None.
No, seeing none. Then we will move on to review of reports. Chief, Deputy, financial report, please.
So for the financial report, we're approximately 4.5 months into the fiscal year, and as of November 12th, we were at approximately 34% of the budget expended, and so we remain on target and where we should be at this time of the year. Two of the funding lines that are concerning, and as I mentioned, the same two for the past couple months, they continue to be challenging, and I assume they will continue to be challenging as we move forward. And those include the police overtime line. As of this last check of the budget, it's approximately 60% depleted, and as I said, that's associated with our vacancies and staffing, current staffing levels. And then also the other line, 53520, the vehicle repair maintenance line, that is at 86% expended. Last month I informed you of 3 significantly expensive repairs that we were faced with due to the age of the vehicles. Again, this past month we had another unanticipated significant repair to one of the vehicles that also was in excess of $1,300. And then just over the past couple of weeks, we have another vehicle out of service. That is an older 2016 Ford SUV with 130,000 miles. And the repairs on that were estimated to be close to $9,500. So after consultation with our mechanic, it was decided that vehicle was being used as a spare. We won't repair it, and it'll be decommissioned and have to be taken out of the fleet. And then just one other line that I want to just mention quickly, 53510, repair, maintenance, machinery, and equipment. That's now up to just over 66%, and that was partially due to an unanticipated expense associated with the failing of our DVR unit that controls the camera system for the facility inside and outside. And that's all I have to report on the financial side.
Anybody have comment or question on
No.
the issues? One thing I was looking at, Chief, on the budget, knowing about the salary line for the police officers and overtime, combining those two and seeing where we are at this point in the year, shows sort of like only 30% of those two budget lines when they're combined. So given the difficulty we have with recruitment and the open lines for hiring, does that sort of portend a little bit of a good news kind of situation? Because we can move things from the officer's line, which is under budget at this point.
Right, and that's
How we
kind of what we did last year as well. So yeah, working with the finance director, we'll move the money around. So financially, it helps us, but operationally, we're still struggling. Yes, but
yes, absolutely.
But financially, the overtime line would be offset by the savings on the salary line. Yep, you're correct with that.
And as to the vehicles, the age of the fleet, and some of the large expenses that you're anticipating or have noticed already at this point, does that change anything in the way your thinking is about the fleet or the frequency or the rotation and purchase of new vehicles as we're getting into the budget season? Or?
Yes, and I in my chief report, I'll touch on that a little bit, but I did, we want to get back into the rotation system like we had, and that's kind of what's causing us all problems, because some of those funding requests were denied, so we saved money there, but now we're at the point where it's really catching up to us. So we're working with the finance director, and we're hoping to get some funding to get an additional car sooner than with some funding that might be available through the town to help us out in that bind a little bit, but we definitely need to get back on cycle and in that direction. So,
Yeah. Good. Well, if there are no further questions, seek a motion for approval of
So
the
moved.
financial report.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Thank you.
Great. Moving on to the activity report.
On the criminal activity side, amongst the incidents listed in the statistic report that was included in your packets last month are some of the investigations that our officer conducted and responded to. We had one burglary, and that was at an Amity Road business establishment, occurred during the nighttime hours, and the vehicle was also stolen from that establishment during the burglary. They responded to 2 family disputes, both of those which resulted in arrests. They had 8 various fraud investigations, 2 larceny investigations. One of those involved parts stolen off of a vehicle parked down in the business area. Another one involved funds missing from a residence. We had 1 larceny from a motor vehicle, and that occurred in the parking lot of an Amity Road business. They responded to a total of 106 medical assistance calls, 3 mental health related calls. We have 3 stolen motor vehicle investigations. We had 1 stolen during the Amity Road burglary that I just mentioned that had subsequently was recovered in New Haven. We had another one stolen out of a different Amity Road business establishment. That vehicle is still outstanding, has not yet been recovered. And working with the Joint Stolen Vehicle Task Force, officers recovered a stolen vehicle that was passing through town on the Lower Litchfield Turnpike. They responded to 17 suspicious activity calls throughout the month of various types. 4 threatening calls. One of them was on October 30th, which involved threats of an impending school shooting. Officers quickly responded and determined the threat was not credible, and it was part of a swatting campaign that's recently been occurring across the nation. And on that specific date, occurred across several other jurisdictions in Connecticut. They also responded to 2 trespassing calls and 7 well-being checks. And then regarding criminal arrests made by personnel during the month of October, on October 22nd, following their investigation into a dispute at a residence, they arrested one of the participants for assault-related charges. On the 27th of October, they responded to a dispute at a residence and subsequently arrested both of the occupants of the house for disorderly conduct. On the 29th, members of the department served an active arrest warrant on the subject for identity theft, interfering with an officer, and criminal impersonation charges, and that was associated with a September 2024 fraud investigation where it was determined that the arrestee had made numerous illegal purchases while fraudulently using a resident's identity. And at the end of the month, on the 31st, detectives identified and arrested the operator of a motor vehicle, charging him with evading responsibility after he had left the scene and failed to report his involvement in an accident that occurred on town property and caused damage to the town property. And on the investigative services side of that, they assumed 6 new investigations during the month of September. Some of those included recovering a stolen vehicle and identifying the suspect responsible, and also for the burglary of that business establishment that I mentioned occurred on Amity Road. So they have an arrest warrant pending for that. Working with patrol, they identified the suspect responsible for a Pease Road threatening incident and are awaiting some more forensic evidence, and the arrest warrant is anticipated to be drafted in that case as well. Using license plate reader technology, they recovered the stolen motor vehicle that I had just mentioned. And they're working with the FBI into that swatting investigation that occurred nationwide. Regarding some of their old cases, they recently received a DNA hit from a stolen motor vehicle that we had back in 2021, and they have an arrest warrant pending at court for that. And they also cleared a recent 2024 fraud case at one of our local banks with the issuance of another arrest warrant. Additionally, they conducted 11 fingerprinting requests and performed background investigations and processing for 2 pistol permit applicants. And that's all on the criminal side, and the deputy chief will fill you in on the motor vehicle and traffic side.
With regards to our traffic activity, our officers conducted 80 motor vehicle stops in the month of October. There were 327 radar speed enforcement assignments and 320 deterrent traffic safety patrol assignments throughout the month. There were 30 motor vehicle accidents throughout town, which is a 7% increase from September. We deployed our speed trailer on several roads, including Baldwin Road, Center Road, North Pease Road, and Prospect Road. We had a complaint from a Prospect Road resident regarding speeding vehicles, and Sergeant Petalino was able to conduct a traffic study with regards to the activity on Prospect Road. And that's it.
One of the things we've seen something in the news, I think perhaps you mentioned it previously, was the regional task force in response to some of the stolen motor vehicles. There was recently a press conference that you and First Selectman.
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago now, the First Selectman and I attended a press conference down at, it was hosted at New Haven Police Department, and some of the CEOs from surrounding municipalities were there and spoke, and some of the police chiefs also spoke, and representatives of the state police spoke, and just about the collaboration of efforts to combat this crime that's hurting all of our jurisdictions, and with everybody suffering and struggling with staffing challenges, I felt it best just to work together, and so we have this task force that's working a couple times a week now at strategic times, and about the state police and several different municipal agencies, and they're doing a lot of different aspects into it, coupling patrol and surveillance and cameras and electronic surveillance and a lot of different ways to try to address it, because it's the same problem that is hurting us here. It's just going from one community to the other, and a lot of these crimes are being committed by juveniles, but a lot of them start with just rummaging through the cars, and then they find the keys and they take the car, and it leads them into burglaries and a lot other more serious offenses that have been occurring, robbery, shootings. I think so far we get every week or so we get an update from the task force of where they're at, and they've recovered numerous stolen cars, and I think just this past week they got 2 or 3 more firearms, and they had 3 at the time of the press conference. They had already recovered another 3 firearms, so I think they're up to 5 or 6 in just the first few weeks of it. But it's really been well received, and the CEOs of all the communities have also pledged their support to allow everybody to participate in that. There might be some reimbursements coming from the state side to cover some of the associated costs with that. But so far so good. It's been very productive, and hopefully it makes a dent and gets a little handle on it. So.
Chief, is there a sense as to whether this is lone actors or more organized gang activity?
A lot of it is a gang kind of group that they have going around now. They're stealing Kias, and so that group is kind of associated with that. Kias has been the hot vehicle, and there's a group called the Kia Boys that are involved in a lot of that, with other people as well. But they're sort of trying to, hit them hard, and that's also, and that also ties in with the street takeovers and things of that sort. They've actually been stealing unmarked these Crown Victorias, the older sedans, police sedans. We still have one here, Luckily, they haven't targeted that yet, but just, they've been getting them from several of the other towns right around us. There's just another one last week in another kind of small town not too far from here, and they're using those during the street takeovers and every other thing. So it's not even just residential down
Yeah.
It's kind of unheard of, but they're stealing police cars from police lots and, town hall lots and public work lots, so on and so forth. So, but hopefully they're, as I said, making a dent and sending a message to the criminal side, but also to the community that, their concerns aren't going unnoticed and everybody's working together to resolve.
It's really good to hear you're all doing that in broader cooperation.
Yeah.
We've all seen scenes of this from larger cities. I was not aware it's happening in the smaller towns now too.
Yeah.
It's great work.
We've been fortunate enough to be able to send a couple of officers to these task force, so it's really been helpful. So in case we have any incidents that are happening here, the hope is that some of the task force members can also come here into Woodbridge and help us with some of the cases that we've had here. And a good bulk of these thefts are being committed by youths 14 years old and younger. I know last week or the week before, I think they had kids that were 11 years old stealing these cars.
Great work.
Thank you.
That's all on the activity.
Great, then seek a motion to approve the activity report.
So move.
Second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Let's move on to the next agenda item, report from the chief.
Okay, so the first topic there is a copy of the proposed police commission meeting schedule for the year 2025 was included in your package for your review. As usual, the meetings will continue to take place on the third Monday of the month, with the exceptions shown on the calendar that you received there. This for January 2025, it was rescheduled for Martin Luther King Day. In February, President's Day. April was a holiday, Easter Monday. In June, and then in January as well. So the calendar needs to be filed with the town clerk by the end of December. So you probably need to take action on that this evening, and then if there are some conflicts that arise subsequent to that, they could always be changed, and we just have a special meeting and change the date at a shorter notice. But unless anyone knows of any scheduling conflicts now.
Not sure, I'll have to get back to you.
But
I don't think there are any, but
Okay.
is it your preference that we approve this
Yeah.
today if possible? And we'll have to
Just
Yeah,
check our,
because yeah,
Yeah.
because we can't always
Purpose of it.
guarantee
Okay,
that
well, that's
all
fine.
5 would be, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
okay.
if you don't mind,
Janice, do we
please,
act on that
please.
during
yes.
this?
Yes,
Motion.
Second.
thank you all very much.
All in favor? And we will be sure that the other commissioners know to check their schedules, and the sooner if there's any change, we'll make them. Thank you.
And then the second topic was the annual budget preparation process. So we're currently preparing our proposals for the capital and operating budgets for the 25-26 fiscal year. They're due to be submitted to the finance director during the first week of January. So prior to that, sometime next month, I'll need to convene a meeting of the commission's budget subcommittee to review the proposals. Some key dates associated with the upcoming budget process, if you want to note them, or they'll be in the minutes. Our presentation to the joint meetings of the boards of Selectmen and Finance are scheduled to be at 6 p.m. on one of the following evenings of either January 21st, 23rd, 28th, 30th, or February 4th, if that's dates needed. On February 27th, the Board of Selectmen will make their budget recommendations to the Board of Finance. On March 5th, the Board of Finance will decide on their recommendations for the preliminary budget hearing. And the public hearing on the preliminary budget is set for April 24th at 7:30. And the annual town meeting is scheduled to be held on May 19th, also at 7:30. Some of the anticipated operational budget proposals, we're looking at staffing to improve efficiency and safety for both the officers and the community. We're going to have some contractual raises that go with both contracts. We have our newly hired part-time IT systems assistant, and just some overall general increases on licensing, maintenance, contract, etc. Data processing items. In the capital budget, some of the proposals that we're thinking of are obviously what we just discussed, the replacement of vehicles, with the ultimate goal of getting us back on that documented replacement cycle, replacing our AEDs, upgrading our end-of-life software platform for our recording system, some license plate reader technology. So it's just some of those things, but as we get further along, we'll share with the subcommittee. And I think that'll be Commissioner Westfeld and Commissioner Esposito as well. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah, well, I'll look at the dates, and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
I assume we're gonna put everything in the minutes.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, do the chief privately thought to go over the budget? Like, are you
Oh.
going to be on vacation or anything during the month of December?
I should be, but, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find
You
it.
should be, but you won't.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. I suppose.
We all
so.
should be.
I know, right?
Yeah. And then the last thing, I just want to update you on some holiday events that we have coming up. So on Saturday, December 7th, members of the police department will be teaming up with some of our local businesses and the U.S. Marine Corps to conduct their annual Stuff a Cruiser toy drive. That event will be held at the Andrews Plaza down on Route 69 from approximately 9 in the morning to 3 p.m. And the proceeds will all be donated to the Marine Corps Toys for Tots Foundation and the Connecticut Special Olympics. The following week, on the evening of December 12th, several of our officers will be participating in the 11th annual Shop with a Cop event. I believe they're doing that at the Connecticut Post Mall again. The officers will take the children out to dinner, which is sponsored by the police union. And then following that, they take the children shopping at Target. We're using gift cards that are sponsored by the Reach Foundation. They're able to buy gifts for themselves and for their family. So it's a real nice event, both real nice events that they've been doing for several years now. And additionally, later this month, Sergeant Pedalino will be representing the department at the JCC's annual crafts fair. We'll also be collecting donations for the Toys for Tot and the same Connecticut Special Olympics, like I mentioned before. And I just want to thank Sergeant Pedalino and all of those involved for their coordination and ongoing participation to keep that tradition going and to make the holidays a little bit brighter for the less fortunate year after year. So thank you for that. And that's all I have for under my report.
Great. Well, those holiday events, keeping them a tradition and in the spirit of the season and helping the community, it's all good stuff. Thank you. We're all very supportive of that. So if there are no further comments or questions for the chief, I'll seek approval for his report.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Personnel matters, chief.
Okay, just a couple updates regarding the extended absence. At this point, and as previously reported, we have just the one officer remaining out on an extended workers' comp related injury. His next physician's follow-up visit is scheduled for later this month, so his return to date still remains uncertain, pending medical evaluations. And then as far as the hiring goes, we remain with the 3 patrol officer vacancies that we're trying to fill. So coupling those with the workman's comp-related absence, as I mentioned previously, leaves us with only 19 sworn, that's including the deputy chief and I. So that's continuing both of us to struggle with staffing, operational efficiency, and safety concerns. We, along with several other communities, including the city of New Haven, recently participated again in the South Central Criminal Justice regional testing process. That was conducted on November 6th, is when they had the written test. They had approximately 40 to 50 applicants there for the written portion of that test. The department set representative, Sergeant Pedalino, represented us there and tried his best to sell the department and what we have to offer and answer any questions that they had. So I know we had some, there were several people of interest that he was able to solicit and speak to. So we're keeping our fingers crossed with that. This past week we hosted one of the testing sites and provided a panelist for the oral examinations portion of the test. So this week the applicants should be receiving their scores, and at that time they'll be able to apply to any of the participating departments. So we're looking forward to see what the results of that test generated for us, and the deputy and I are still hopeful that the collective bargaining unit negotiations between the town and the police union move forward and are resolved as soon as possible, so that hopefully they'll use some enticements and for both new recruits and certified officer potential candidates. And then just one other thing with hiring, this just came to light officially this weekend. I got the official letter, but kind of came to light in the last few weeks as a date since our last meeting. So one of our dispatchers, Dispatcher Jennifer Arpino, she'll be resigning from the department, and her date of resignation will be November 23rd to pursue a new career in the nursing profession. She'll be moving out of state with that. So I wish her the best of luck in her new endeavor, and just seek the board's permission to move forward with the hiring process so we can fill that vacancy. It's all budgeted for, we just gotta fill it again. So we probably need a motion for that if you.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Thank you all.
And that's all I have on the personnel.
How long has she been working here?
I'm sorry?
How long has she been working here?
I think just under 5 years, or about 4 years, yeah, 'cause
I'm sorry, Chief, do we have candidates in
For
the
the-
wings for the, to fill, I'm sorry, you know?
the dispatch
Yeah.
position? Not yet, because we haven't posted, so the way the process works, under their collective bargaining agreement, it has to get posted internally in town for 10 days. So we'll get that out tomorrow and start that then 10-day process, and then after that, we'll, see where we're at, and if need be, we'll go outside. Ideally, it'd be good if we could get the right person that's certified and the right person, a good mix like that, and get somebody right on board would be really advantageous. So we have our fingers crossed for that as well. Hopefully, they, as you know, they just not too long ago settled their contract, so there's a pay increase from last time we advertised, and schedule enhancements. They went to that 5-2-5-3 schedule, and so on and so forth. So I don't think, we were talking about that, I don't think we'll have difficulty in filling that.
Great.
Fingers crossed anyway. So, yeah.
Do we need any further approvals on anything there?
No, thank you.
So, is there any new business?
None.
Not for me.
Okay.
Hearing no new business, then I seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, Commissioners. Now we'd like to open the Woodbridge Traffic Authority. It's a meeting of Monday, November 18th at 6:50 p.m. Don't appear to be anybody here for public comments. We heard previously from Mr. Horowitz, but I do understand there's been some correspondence, Chief?
Yes, there has been. So we've received one request for advisory signage from a resident requesting the placement of advisory signage on Ford Road in the vicinity of its intersection with Osborne Lane. And I'll read the request to you. It says, I'm writing to request signage near the intersection of Ford Road and Osborne Lane. As you may know, there is a horse farm at the end of Osborne. Several riders walk their horses in the neighborhood, and we have experienced scary situations when drivers are not aware that they should slow down and share the road with horses. We'd appreciate some signage to help alert drivers, especially as they come around a 90-degree turn on Ford Road, but also in the other direction. And she actually sent a sign of a sample of what she was thinking of. I made a couple copies of passing around. And here, actually, there's three. And I actually bumped into her at Town Hall just when I was over there for another matter and discussed it with her. And, so just so you know, the Autumn View Equestrian Center is located at the end of Osborne Lane. And Osborne Lane is a short dead-end road. It's off Ford Road. I attached a couple of pictures there. There is it's a narrow road. The riders walk the horses on or across Ford Road as they traverse from one trail to another. The roads, it's a small old country road, and there's no shoulder lines or fog lines or anything like that. But there is, as she referenced in her letter, there is a 90-degree angle, big curve in the area there that also presents a hazard. So, I guess as she says, as horses could be spooked easily by vehicles, and I guess the same with drivers who are unsuspectedly come across one all of a sudden, or maybe around the bend. I mean, I kind of concur with the request. I don't think it would do any harm in posting a couple signs on either side. And so I present that for your consideration. And if it's approved, I'll work with the Public Works Director to get something to take care of that.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm one of the many drivers who would not expect the road to be regularly used by horses. I think it's an excellent signage idea and can prevent accidents with riders and drivers.
So just to be clear on one thing, the horseback riders are not riding on the town roads or state roads. They're walking their horse across from the farm to a riding trail.
I mean, that's my take on it, but I don't think they just, hopefully they're just walking it. I don't know if they're actually physically riding it, but it's not to go down the street, it's just to get from one trail to another.
Across the street.
So that in some sense, it's kind of like a golf cart.
Like a
Yeah.
pedestrian walkway.
It's a person with a cart, manning the cart, getting across, as opposed to,
Right, riding the golf cart down the street,
yeah.
just crossing.
Yeah. And
That was her intent.
do we know anything about the other towns do this? I mean, I'm with everybody on the notion of that it makes
Yeah.
good sense. I guess I'm wondering if it exists in other towns. I can imagine Bethany might have something like that.
I think it does, because she got this signage, and I kind of researched it a little bit, and it is common to, not so much right around here, but the more rural settings in town for sure. So, I mean,
Which raises the question, are there other places in town where this is
yeah, this is, I
something to
haven't heard
consider?
of any other ones, but this is the only one she brought to my attention.
And is this an approved DOT sign? I think you need to get it approved, right?
I think so. I'd have to check with Warren. It's not on a state road, it's on a town road, but I think it does have to conform to different things.
DOT
But
requirement.
they have a company that they deal with, that they all sign, so yeah, so that they conform. And it's just strictly an advisory sign, so it's not something that's enforceable. There's no fine. Just kind of a warning sign.
It sounds like we're all feel that this makes good sense
Yeah.
and are supportive of it. We need a formal
Yes,
motion.
please, yes.
So I would ask for the support of an advisory sign, share the road on Ford Road and Osborne. All in
Motion.
favor?
Okay, beautiful, thank you.
Second?
Yeah.
Great. And we note, Deputy, the traffic studies that were done since the last meeting. Anything, any data to share with us or discussion on any of that, or?
Yeah, with regards to the study on Prospect, that was the complaint that we had received this month. We had, speed limit there is 25 miles per hour, so the speed trailer was deployed there for 14 days in 18 minutes. It captured 15,099 vehicles total in that time period. And vehicles traveling under the speed limit eastbound were 3.36% of all vehicles traveling eastbound were under the speed limit. 3.52% were under the speed limit westbound. Vehicles traveling over the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit eastbound, 96% were going over the speed limit, and vehicles traveling over the speed limit westbound, another 96%. Vehicles traveling over the 35-mile-per-hour threshold were 9,538 vehicles, or 63.17%. So the average speed on Prospect was 36.48 miles per hour. And in the 85th percentile, vehicles were traveling 38 miles per hour to 25-mile-per-hour zone.
So as we do more and more of these,
Susan Scaletta.
sorry. And as we do more of these investigations, do we need to develop some criteria that helps us, again, getting back to Mr. Horowitz's point about how do we develop criteria to know when we actually believe we have a serious issue that warrants some form of traffic calming response?
Yeah, I mean, when we do these traffic studies, like for instance on this one here on Prospect Road, we're seeing that 96% of the vehicles are traveling over the speed limit, and with the 85th percentile going 38 miles per hour, it's 13 miles over the speed limit, so that's quite significant. So some of the criteria for, our enforcement levels, like we will see this information, and that will give us the information for us to do radar speed enforcement on roads like that, more so than we would on other roads that don't have this type of data. With regards to engineering and speed humps and things of that sort, obviously these are things that you would consider on roads that are being traveled upon quickly like these. But one of the other things that we look at are cut-throughs. Mr. Horowitz on Oak Hill, his road is a cut-through, and on Prospect, they can cut through there also and go to Amity Road. So it's something to consider.
Yeah, no, it feels like this is becoming more and more of a significant issue. And we're hearing more and more from residents about this, conducting more studies, we have more data. I'm only making a pitch for us to have some sequence of events, time frames, to be making decisions so we don't find ourselves, as Mr. Horowitz noted, regretting something by doing it a day too late. So developing criteria for where we take action or make recommendations for taking action and working with Warren.
We have a meeting coming up on the afternoon of the 21st, this Thursday afternoon, with the traffic committee. So I know in the past they've had developed a matrix as well to, when they're doing the speed humps and things of that nature, a bunch of criteria. So they have a bunch of information with that. And we'll share that with them when we meet on Thursday too, and see if they have any insight as to that from their past dealings.
Great. Alrighty. Any further conversation on
Nope.
this issue? Then I seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion.